To start, I want to clarify a few things about my life, apartment, and some personal background. I'm 27 years old and a very harsh non-believer in anything supernatural. Don't get me wrong, I love the supernatural in fantasy books, movies, and series, but not in real life. The past 2 days I've been experiencing something odd going on inside my house. I live on the top floor of a 4-story apartment building. My significant other recently moved in with me and my parent about a week ago. Even though I like horror movies and similar content, I usually avoid watching them because they make me paranoid before bed. However, the last 2 days have been seriously unnerving. Day 1, I watched some scary comp videos on YouTube and then went to bed. After locking the door to get some peace of mind, for context, I have 3 dogs and 1 parrot in the apartment. My dogs love to bark when someone rings the bell, enters the house, or doesn't give them attention, and my parrot has been sick for 2 weeks now. While in bed, in pitch black darkness, my youngest and middle dog suddenly started barking, and the youngest began growling very loudly, thinking they were barking at something from the balcony. I brushed it off and kept playing Mahjong on my phone to calm down and help myself fall asleep. But within 5 seconds, I realized something chilling. The dogs weren't barking outside, they were barking inside, directly towards the door that separates the living room from the rest of the house, the door closest to the front entrance. I was skeptical at first, but then I heard a sound coming from the living room, like someone was using tools to open the front door. I'm not exaggerating. I jumped out of bed and rushed to the hallway, turned on the lights and opened the door to the living room, only to be met by darkness and silence. The dogs stopped barking as soon as I paused past their room and they saw me turn the lights on. I quickly ran to the front door, checked the peephole while simultaneously flipping on the outside light. No one was there. I turned everything off again and went back to bed, where my SO was still sleeping soundly. I resumed playing my game, but this time with 0 volume, staying alert. Then something else happened. My parrot, who has been sick for 2 weeks and hasn't chirped or moved much, except for taking his medication, suddenly started shifting very slowly in his cage, and then let out a chirp. My stomach dropped. I turned on the camera flash toward the cage, only to find the bird calmly sitting there, not alarmed or anything. Dogs and birds are sensitive to noise, so I trust their instincts, but nothing about the situation explained what just happened. All of it occurred within 5 minutes at 4:40 a.m. Eventually, I went to sleep. Day 2. I invited a friend over for a coffee to catch up and plan some summer stuff. They stayed until the afternoon, just before my parents came back from work. Later that day, I sat down to watch another scary comp, but this time I was looking for videos with more real-life cases, home invasions, camera footage, pictures of true events, that sort of thing. About 40 minutes into watching, I paused for a bathroom break. When I returned, I played the next video while sitting on my couch in the living room. Suddenly, and I mean firmly, the fake plastic plant I have, about 1.5 meters tall, was yanked sideways about 10 centimeters to the left. At the same exact moment, I heard a loud clack, like a switch being pressed. I thought maybe one of the dogs had snuck through the baby gate, gone over to the plant and knocked it over somehow while playing around. But as I got up, a cold realization hit me. All the dogs were still behind the baby fence. It was impossible for them to have come through unnoticed, especially since I know their patterns so well. I got closer to the plant and looked around to see if something had fallen and knocked it over, but there was nothing out of place. Completely petrified, I backed away slowly towards the living room door. I opened it and, like a normal grown man in denial, called out to my parents as if they could help or do something. In truth, I was so stunned I didn't know what to do. What I got in return was the classic, "Ha ha, you've been watching too many horror movies" reaction. I was mad they didn't believe me, but I went back to investigate. Nothing was toppled. Nothing was moved. My next instinct, one of those basics things you hear about, like tossing salt over your shoulder. And just now, as I'm typing this, my skin broke out in goosebumps, and my keyboard started missing keystrokes. I meant to type basic. Just now, as it came out as sick. Okay, sorted out by taking out and putting the battery back in. Maybe the keyboard is just malfunctioning for some random reason. One more thing. I grabbed my bravest and smartest dog, pointed around and asked him to find them, like, Willy boy. But each time I said it, I felt this oppressive silence weighing down on me, and the dog just stared back, clueless. Hopefully this was just some weird coincidence, like one of those dolls that move from air gasps or condensations or whatever. But honestly, I don't know what to think anymore. Let me know if I should update with anything else. Edit. I wanted to also add a small note on an experience that is reoccurring. At night, when I am the only one awake, I sometimes hear a sound of little toes tapping, coming closer to my bed, which will always make me freeze for some seconds, and then I do a house search. Issue is that the same sound of said steps is the issue. It's like a very small dog is walking slowly towards me, when there is actually no dog outside the fence. One time I was so scared that someone broke in that tears came to my eyes while holding my breath to hear the sound better.